Everybody, welcome back into the channel. Today we're talking about a topic that's going to help you guys progress your players a lot more quickly in Madden. Something that is, I would say, pretty widely known, but I just want to make sure that we cover the ins and outs of it and have a video referencing it on the channel, especially for the newer people, because these things are really important to developing your players. They can get you a lot of bonus XP, they can get you dev trait upgrades, and so these things are really important. Now, what I'm talking about today are the annual awards, the yearly awards here in Madden. Things like the MVP award, the Coach of the Year award, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Best QB, Running Back, Wide Receiver, O-Line, D-Line, Linebacker, DB, and Kicker. All of those awards, and then in addition to that, I'm talking about the stats titles. Now, this isn't something that is clearly defined in the game. It's not going to give you an award or an accolade for it, but what will happen is if you lead the league in certain stats, you can get dev upgrades for it, and so that's why it's really important to know these things. So like if you finish top 5 in passing yards, that can help your player out, get a dev upgrade. Same thing with rushing yards. If you win the rushing title, that will help get you XP and get you dev upgrades, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the things that I want to address in this video and just tell you the importance of them and why you should be maybe actually striving for these things more than even winning games or winning Super Bowls, because these are the most valuable things that you can do with your players. And before I really get into how to do each of them, I want to show you guys some examples first. So last season, Devin Singletary had normal potential, and he won the rushing title. At the end of the year, he got I got a star dev upgrade for him during the season. So towards the end of the season, he got star. Then once the year was over, because he won the rushing title, he got upgraded to superstar as we hit the off season. And then I was able to get a Superstar X Factor upgrade challenge for him this year. So he was able to get Superstar for free by simply winning the rushing title. So if we go back and look at his stats, I can show you how he won the rushing title. It didn't even have to be anything super amazing. He just had 1,394 yards, which is a very good season for a running back. He had 16 touchdowns, and so he was able to get a nice dev trait upgrade out of that. Likewise, there were some other players on my team that have gotten dev trait upgrades for leading in yardage and stuff like that. Josh Allen was one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I believe he won MVP, and that's how he got superstar development when he originally had star. And then if we look at my defense, I had Taron Johnson go up to star because he led the league in interceptions. I have since had Tremont Smith go up to superstar, to Karis McKinley superstar, so on and so forth. I've had a lot of dev upgrades, and so it shows that these things actually work. Now let's go back and talk about what exactly you want to do to be able to get dev upgrades and get XP to kind of help your team out and help your team develop. So what you want to do is you want to go to the League tab here in Franchise. It's 3 over. You go to the League tab and you're going to want to go to Stats. And this is how you can track these things all year long. Give me 1 second. I have to mute somebody in the party, and then I'll be right back. All right, so back to the video. Sorry about that. Stats-wise, what you're going to want to look at is the Awards tab here and the Player Stats tab. Now, let's talk about the Player Stats tab first and discuss some of these things. So as I had mentioned earlier, if you finish top of the league, top 5, and I don't know if this still works the same way, but in prior years, it used to be if you finish top 5 in a stat category for a position, you ended up getting a dev upgrade for that player. I don't believe it works 100% of the time, because last season on defense, I actually finished top 5 in interceptions with both Taron Johnson and Tre'Davious White, and only Taron Johnson got a dev upgrade. So I don't think it's 100% of the time that this actually works, but you do at least have a chance of it working out for you. So what I'm talking about is on defense, say I am trying to get my linebacker slash edge rusher slash defensive end a dev trait upgrade. Well, what you would want to do in order to receive a free dev trait upgrade for an edge rusher is to have top 5 in sacks for that player. And so What you want to do is then sort by the NFL, what you can do here, and you can see who is leading in sacks for the entire league. Now, your players for your team may not show up on this screen. So as you guys can see, AJ Epineza had 14.5 sacks, so he's not actually showing up on this screen, but just know that he is officially second in sacks right now, and he will likely get a dev trait upgrade if he finishes top 5 in sacks. Same thing with Ed Oliver. Tremont Smith might as a safety, but that's where things start to get complicated. So for a defensive back to have this many sacks, that doesn't necessarily mean that the defensive back is going to get a dev upgrade. It has to be a stat that is effective for that position. And what I mean by that is Tremont Smith and other defensive backs will benefit by leading the league in interceptions or getting top 5 in interceptions, while edge rushers will benefit by getting sacks. Don't get me wrong, I'll get a ton of XP for getting Tremont a bunch of sacks. That's how I've got him up to superstar, because he keeps getting sacks and making tackles and making plays in the backfield, so he gets a bunch of XP. But his dev traits haven't come from leading the league in a specific stat, whereas my other players' dev upgrades have come from that. And so likewise, you want to look at the rushing stats on the season, and you want to try and finish top 5. Like right now, I'm trying to make a late season push for Devin Singletary to try and make sure that he finishes top 5 in rushing yards. It's looking pretty likely at this point, but I want to guarantee that. Now, it actually doesn't matter for me because Devin Singletary already has Superstar X Factor, but he will get a bonus for XP for finishing in the top 5. And same thing with my passing yards. If Josh Allen finishes as the #1 passer, if he wins MVP, I'm almost guaranteed to get him Superstar X Factor this offseason. And that's pretty much the only way to get upgrades for a quarterback like that, is to finish as an MVP, to win yearly awards, or to win the passing title or the passing touchdowns title. If I want to guarantee Josh Allen gets Superstar X Factor this year, all I have to do is lead in passing yards, lead in passing touchdowns, and win MVP. And then I'm 100% pretty much guaranteed that he's going to get a dev trait upgrade. Now, that is a difficult thing to accomplish, especially in a league with a lot of users, but that's just an example of how you can get those things to work out in your favor. Now, the other thing I'm going to talk about is the yearly awards. The yearly awards, at the very least, give you a bonus to XP, and only, from my knowledge, only the winners get a bonus to XP from winning yearly awards. However, I do believe that the yearly awards also award a challenge or a chance of getting a dev upgrade. So if I win MVP with Josh Allen, I increase his chances of getting bonus XP and getting a dev upgrade. And then if I go to the AFC awards, if I additionally win him Offensive Player of the Year and I win him Best Quarterback, I increase my chances even further of getting him a dev upgrade or getting him extra XP. And the other thing that you want to consider is that the dev upgrades are extremely important for the long-term viability of your players, because they will progress faster and last longer and not regress as quickly when they get older, because of the fact that they have that better dev trait. That's going to allow them to get XP quicker and easier, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. So you really want to strive to get as many awards as possible. Even if you're not a competitive team, try and at least win an award with somebody. If you are a competitive team, you need to focus on these awards so that you can get your guys extra XP and get your guys extra dev traits. They are extremely important. And I know that this is a pretty straightforward topic, but for the newbies, for the people that are relatively new to the game, fresh to the game, make sure that you're paying attention to these awards, the best quarterback, running back. There's something for pretty much every position, so it's going to be hard to not win an award if you're doing well with at least somebody. So definitely keep track of these awards as they pop up. Now, the other thing that you want to be aware of is that the yearly awards don't pop up until like halfway through the season, till like week 7 or 8. So you might come to this tab early in the season and see that all that is there is the weekly awards. Don't panic. It will pop up eventually, but it just takes a while for the stats to accumulate, and then the yearly awards start to kick in, and it'll give you a running for the yearly awards. The yearly awards, the stats for winning a yearly award are cut off at the end of week 17. However, the yearly awards aren't awarded until, I believe, Pro Bowl week or Super Bowl week, sometime in that time frame. So even if it says that you're leading for an award and you don't get that upgrade at the very end of the season, don't panic. It will come. You just have to wait until late into the postseason, if not the off season, to actually see the effect. Now, the last thing to talk about is the weekly awards, which you will be able to see from the very beginning of your franchise after you play a week. These things help to get you XP. Now, what I want to clarify is that a lot of people believe that these weekly awards will help you get dev traits, which is just simply not the case. What it used to be in Madden is if you won a weekly award, you did have a chance of getting a dev trait upgrade. However, they took that out this year, and so you can't get a dev trait by simply winning a weekly award. As you guys can see, I've won a ton of weekly awards with Josh Allen. I would by now have Superstar X Factor with him if that were the case, and I simply don't. All these things do is serve to give you extra XP, so definitely try and win weekly awards, try and get nice stats with your players, but that's the only purpose of the weekly awards, is to get you bonus XP. They took out the factor that gives you dev traits for it. So hopefully this helps you guys out in some way. Like I said, I know it's a super simple video, I know it's straightforward, and a lot of people probably already know this information, but I just want to re-emphasize how important it is, especially for the newer players, the guys that aren't familiar with Madden or aren't familiar with franchise mode. You definitely want to keep track of some of these nuances. You want to keep track of the yardage, whether you're top 5 in any particular category. You want to keep track of your yearly awards, and you want to try and earn as many awards, many weekly awards, yearly awards as possible, as well as things like the rushing title, the receiving title, the pass yards title, pass touchdown title, interception title. You want to win those even though they're not specifically designated in the game, because they do factor into giving you more XP and giving you dev upgrades, because they are formulated into the game. Just because they don't actually show them doesn't mean that they don't give you bonuses. And that's something I think some people are unaware of, is that just because they're not listed there for you doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to help you out. So it does behoove you to win the rushing title or win those other titles that I discussed. So like I said, hopefully this helps you guys out in some way. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a great one. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys want to see next. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe as always. And like I said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great night.